weekend. Oh, gonna be another hot one, y'all, but it's all good. This is again 1100 WSG. I'm U-Turn LaVern, and this is One Street Over, and we're so thankful to bring you into another beautiful day. And I'm just so thankful for this morning because we're starting a new reoccurring guest that we've been talking about doing for a while. And my dear, dear sister friend is Shawn Elmore, and she is in the house. And I get that text yesterday. Okay, if I got an hour, it's like always. And I said, we will have no trouble filling an hour, darling. So first Wednesday, we had the veterans on. The Veteran Service Office was always first Wednesday, and then they're like, "Can we go fourth Wednesday?" And I said, "Sure." So it opened it up, and we've been trying to find a slot for you that works. And so we're going to try this, right? You think it'll work?
We're going to try it.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
It's busy, isn't it?
It's a busy season.
Yeah, I know. It's so crazy busy. And it's so funny. She walks in, she goes, "I don't have any notes." I'm like, "So that's no big deal. When do we ever need notes just to talk?" So, how's summer going? Get up on that microphone for me.
Summer is busy.
Busy.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Just family busy and kind of open door is, some days are just slammed. Yesterday we had so many needs walking in the door. So your needs go up, your donations go down,
Yeah, well, because people they're spending their surplus money, and two, just the fact of everything costs so much more. I know everybody's had to see it. I put everything on a credit card and pay it at the end of the month. And I'm just constantly seeing that credit card inch up, and I'm like, what are we spending extra money on?
It's groceries.
Yes,
you go to...
And fuel.
Fuel, you go to grocery store.
It's insane.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's... I was talking to somebody in the financial world, and they said, everything's gone up at least 25% and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I think if you look at just the household, I think it's more.
Oh, I do too. I know there was something in the news the other day that said groceries from a few years ago, there was 100 are now 120. And my daughter-in-law's dad goes, "I wish I could go to that store. Can you tell me where that store is?"
I would say the same thing.
I was like, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just, it's insane. And I am finding myself constantly just, again, because we budget the way we do. And I go back through it. I'm like, man, we spent an extra $1,000 this month than we've been typically spending. And we are constantly trying to pull that back. And my husband will be like, "Well, I need to do it." And I'm like, can you wait till next month? Because we have birthday. We had in May, we had 3 birthdays. And this month we've had 3 birthdays. And so anytime you have those extra costs and you're doing, those things. And of course, like you said, people go on trips and for me, I've had to make so many trips to Kentucky as we're trying to, get my parents' house cleaned out because we've got the hired hands family that's been with us forever. We're moving in. And so there's no telling how much gas I spent because we took the truck. Because we had to load, just those kinds of things. I've got this little, gas economy car, and I told my husband, I said, we're driving that the rest of the summer.
Yeah.
Because I said it's just the gas is killing us. But nonprofits see that, guys.
We see it. We see the hard hitting. I'm on several pages. I get all these emails, and I have friends, on the there's an executive director page that I'm on, and there was a person that said, "Hey, we're trying to do a fundraiser. We have $3,000 in the bank, and how do you survive like that?" And I thought, oh, if you're just now doing that, so open doors. Thank God that we were good stewards of our funds, and we pray and we do our. We are thankful for every penny. And I know that so many times I've said that to, over the years. But this year, somebody had asked me, "How are you doing financially?" And I said, "Well, we're in the hole." I mean, even though we had a fantastic fundraiser, but the cost of everything is up. We did add staff, but when I say we added staff, we added 3 people that work, 15 hours a week. I mean, it's not,
nothing crazy.
Yeah, nothing crazy. Our girls work, 2 basically half days. Yeah. So it's a lot of, but we need the staff because the influx of people. Yeah. We had the slowest month in I think June, and we had 208 visits, and that doesn't include supervised visitation. Yeah. So, that's
it's incredible. And I constantly, because I work in, I'm involved with Celebrate Recovery also at Epiphany Baptist
mm-hmm.
and also at Madison Church of Christ. And constantly in the recovery community, I meet people who have got a connection to Open Door because somehow or another through their journey in the court system, they are tapping into that. And I know, it's so funny is my involvement with different things. Your name comes up all the time. It's so funny. I'm involved with Recovery Court.
Yep.
And on the board, and you are now as well.
They're pulling me in. I love the girls.
Yeah,
I love
Megan
and Megan.
Althea.
Yes, and
we love you too, Judge Perry. But
yes,
the girls are.
But the girls take the cake.
Yes,
but
awesome.
we, and Safe Baby Court and Juvenile Court.
I was about to. That was next on the list.
Yes,
Safe
Tiffany.
Baby Court.
I'm so
Tiffany,
excited. Yeah, so
she's
excited
coming in. Just kind of a quick teaser. She'll be in next week to talk to us a little bit about that.
Phenomenal.
So,
we were Open Door was implement. We were so thankful that we could do the baby box. So people think she's involved in the baby box, and so let me explain the two. Safe Baby Court will work with families and through DCS. The baby box that we were involved in, many years ago, I had a lady that came to me that killed her baby,
good Lord.
and
Can't even imagine.
It was a very sad thing. And if you ever look in somebody's eyes and that they confess their sin to you, and then, said, I put her in a trash can. And as she told her story to me, I remember I was so overwhelmed and speechless in those moments. And I remember just thinking, how do you give somebody an option? And so when the Safe Baby boxes started coming up and I researched that, we talked about when we opened South Main, how could we put a box there? But it had to be manned. And so when we started investigating that and found out, when I talked to the Chief Glodowski,
that's the fire department.
At the fire department. And so he said, well, hey, there's somebody that's already contacted me. So it was already in the works. So it was such a neat thing how God had already, it was in my heart. And I also had a friend that called and said, hey, we want to honor a friend, our friend Amy's life, and she helped at Open Door when we got started. So it was just such a neat legacy gift for her. And so I said, well, we're in. How do we do this? And so we called this lady, Silvana, and I said, hey, we want to do this. How do we make this happen? She said, well, we need these funds. And I said, well, Open Door doesn't have funds, but I have people who want to give.
Yeah.
And so we were able, through Open Door, through what we do, I called people and said, hey, let's do this. And so we were able to make sure that project was lifted and off. And, I got to be able to say, this is an option. This child has hope instead of being put in a trash can, and it's so neat. You open the door, the tones go out, and, 2 fire departments, the ambulance, and everybody's alerted, and that baby is put in. And it looks like, if you look on the back side of that box, it's like, it's the plastic bin, the plastic, bassinet that the hospitals use. So the baby is put in there. Mom has resources. And so there's just it's a beautiful thing. I could have been that child. And so it's very important to me that child has an option, that mama has an option. And, I had somebody that was very negative about it. And I looked at him, I said, have you ever spoke to or ministered to somebody who has no option and that they put their baby in a trash can after they smothered it? And she looked at me and I said, I think we need to give somebody an option. And she didn't have anything else to say.
Yeah.
So we're happy to be able to do that and happy to have something like that in our community. We pray that it never has to be used, but if that option is the only thing at 2:00 in the morning, then let's give somebody that option, that firefighter, to be able to grab that baby up and go to the hospital. So
it's incredible.
We partner with Northcrest. We talked to Northcrest about it. So it's just a beautiful thing. They were all on board. So we have a beautiful community that's very supportive. Safe Baby Court, we're so excited. We've been through the training with them. It's such a beautiful option as well. Safe Baby Court, I'll let Tiffany take all that. She's amazing. I'm so excited to work with Tiffany and Judge Stark and the DCS team. And so
I think she's on the calendar next Thursday.
Yeah,
so
I'm so proud. I'm proud of my friend. I love Tiffany.
Yeah, I do too. I just love Tiffany.
I'm thrilled with that. Casa was a partner in that too. So Leah and Miss Kathy and all their volunteers are fabulous. So we love them, and so it's just we have such an amazing, just collaborative team in our community. And you get to, recovery court, and so you get to do that. Recovery court's having the Recovery Fest. So
yes, August 24th.
August 24th. So
Yay,
we're going to do that. We talked about that, and we were talking, and I said, well, we'll just do the hot dogs. So we're going to get to partner with them and bring our bus and do the hot dogs.
And I can't wait.
Yep.
We will be there for and it's middle of the day, and I forget the specific hours. I'll get some more information.
It's 12 to 3.
It's 12 to 3.
12 to 3.
And I tell you, I've got to reach out to we need a freezer to put water in to keep it cold, and that's been tasked to me, and I gotta work on that.
I think I worked with them and said we have coolers for the chili challenge. They're body size coolers, so I think we got you covered.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Okay, because see, I wasn't at the last meeting. Were you at the last meeting?
Yeah.
Because I had just had my knee surgery. I just had my knee replaced, and so I just couldn't.
I got you, girl.
Okay,
I got you.
Okay, well, we were talking
The
about
Hope
that.
Center, the Hope Center boys. I've already got them collaborated.
I love them.
I rounded them up and said, Joe, I need the boys. So we're going to deal with them. The Hope Center guys are going to have a fundraiser on the in September. I can't call the date because I don't have my phone right here, but we're going to help them with their gala. So they're
when
great.
Is their gala?
It's in September.
Okay.
And so I'll be on again, and I'll have that date for you.
Okay.
But the Hope Center Ministries, listen, these guys, watching them come out of addiction and flourish.
So
and
beautiful.
The enemy wants to steal, kill, and destroy, and he starts with a family. He starts with that father figure. And if you look at the statistics, and these are old statistics, I know you're wearing DCO's shirt because I've got the same shirt, but it's in teal. But when you look at the statistics, 96% of the fatherless of the folks that are in the prison system are fatherless homes, and so what is happening? The enemy's taking that father out of the home, and now you're seeing the mothers migrating out of the home, and you're seeing a lot of those fractured homes, and that's what we're seeing, and so we want to see those. If it's a healthy environment, we want to see those homes put back together. And so
it's amazing. And you can, if you've not been involved with some of these are, I tell everybody, when we started out talking about the need for donations right now in the nonprofit community because donations are down. And, those of us who are regular church attenders, we have this in our hearts. It's like we tithe, we do this, we want to. If you are looking at that and you're looking at your funds, it's like, how much did I give? Do I need to give more? Consider making these nonprofits part of your tithe, because everybody's like, well, you're supposed to go to the church. I'm like, stop it. No, this is the hands and feet of Jesus out in your community. And please, whenever you get, hit up at church about, okay, we need this, we need that, before you just, flush money into just a congregation. Some congregations are sitting on funds in the bank. I mean, I've been in church a long time, and I love my church community. I do. I've been on staff at a church. But, man, if you're a church that's just sitting on wads of cash, what are you doing? I mean, come on. You've got these nonprofits out here that are we're getting ready to go to Mexico. I've been going to Mexico.
We're in the trenches. This is
incredible.
And that's what we had a church when we first opened. I want to say this very gently, but we had a church. We had somebody that said, "Oh, we love what you do, but we're working on our own building," and I get that. I totally get
it. But come on.
But it was, and I don't think we have anybody in our church that needs your services type thing. And about a year and a half, 2 years later, I went and spoke at the church, and of course, coming out of that nursing field, I knew a lot of people's medical history and things. So I went to the church and I spoke because a friend of mine that was a brother in Christ asked me to come. And as I'm looking over the congregation, I saw people that were in crisis pregnancy. I saw people who were post-abortive and things like that. And not that I was in judgment in any way, but I thought, I know there's a need. And the pastor came up to me afterwards and said, wow, I didn't realize that we would get this kind of response. And it was, these people were talking and there was a milling and there was an excitement about what we were doing. And I think that people just don't understand, and people don't know about Open Door until you need us. And I had a situation yesterday where we've had a long-term donor. If we put something out on Facebook, if we say we need diapers, she's one of the first ones that will call me and say, hey, come pick up my diapers on my front porch. This woman is just there's 4 cases of diapers. There's 2 cases of formula, or there's, some baby wash or whatever. And she doesn't drive a lot, so my staff can run by her house because I have a staff member that lives right by her. And so as she's been that, and she's become to fundraisers and things, and she loves our mission. And she said, I never thought we would need your services. And I just hugged her and I said, God knew what he was doing when he put us together as friends. And it was such an honor to be able to just help her with services yesterday, because this was a family member that needed help. And, it started out with, I have a couch to donate. We never know how we're going to be, melted together with someone. Our motto, as you know, has been to love well. I need to put my shirt together because I feel like that has just been something that's been entrenched in us, because that's what the Lord's, he's love your neighbor, love that neighbor. Sometimes we don't understand what that looks like. I've had so many people say, hey, I had to give to, back in the day, I had somebody come to me and say, well, I had to give to Home Safe. And I said, oh, I love Home Safe. We partner with them. Thank you for giving to them. God has enough cattle. Daddy's got all the cattle on all the hills. It's okay. And it's such a blessing to be able to work with these nonprofits, because we are a family. And in my world, we don't fight for money. I'm okay with that, because I know where my money comes from, and it comes from Daddy, and he's got all the cattle on all the hills, and he can afford to take care of all of us.
Yeah.
Even though we're behind, the Lord has blessed us in so many ways. And he knows the needs before we know them. When we have a kid that needs a crib, God's going to take care of that. And we're going to get somebody that's going to say, hey, Walmart's having a sale, like literally, we're literally completely out of infant car seats. So I have a friend that just sent me a check and said, hey, I have to get rid of some money. What do you need? And I said, I need infant car seats. And, her check came in this month. So, do we need money for everything? Yes. Yesterday, somebody asked me, what do you need the most? I said, gift cards right now, because we never know when we need a specialized formula or something like that. We just got some short dated stuff we're able to share with the community. So we never want anything to be wasted. And I think that's something that God honors, is a good stewardship. And, we don't want anything to be wasted. We share the toilet paper in our bathroom. I've gone to our supply closet and never, I always prayed for 4 bathrooms and we have 4 toilets, but I joke about that. But I have gone in there and said, hey, this family doesn't have toilet paper. They don't have washcloths and towels, and we've had it, and we give it, and we give generously, because that's what the Lord wants us to do. So.
It's incredible. And being in the school system and seeing some of the lives of some of these kids and some of the things that they're going through, and it's epidemic in the sense that we have addiction issues, and this is, again, all these things just kind of wrap around that we work with. And you see it. I had a law enforcement person, or maybe, I'm not sure, I think they were in law enforcement. They said, it used to be we would go into a home and we would see concerns about the children, and we would talk about, we need to take and put them in foster care, we need to do something, and the parents would fight and argue with you. And now it's like, well, there's their bags, because of the addiction, what it's done to the lives of so many. And that is what we see. So many kids that come through the school system now, and this is high school kids that are young adults practically, even the freshmen that are coming in, they're in their teen years, they're starting, especially our seniors and things like that. Some of the stories, some of the home stories, I have my kids journal. And some of and I tell them, I said, nobody's going to look at it but me, and I only look at it because I want to make sure you do what I ask you to do. And some of the things I read just break my heart.
Right.
And they're just so honest, and they're just looking for somebody to say, hey, there's better options. And
I see you. They want.
Yes.
I see you. I hear you. I care.
Yeah.
Think about the fact, as you're talking, I'm thinking, and those are high school kids. What about the little children that we have that don't have a voice?
Yeah.
I talked to 3 attorneys yesterday about a child that I basically said, this child doesn't have a voice, and this is what we see, and this is what we're observing. And I described their trauma. I described some things that we're engaged in, and they're like, oh, we didn't think about that. And so I think sometimes society doesn't see the ugly that we see, but we, it's just such a And I have to say this, we're in such a superficial world. The enemy is so prowling, but the Lord wants to bring light to that darkness, and that's so scriptural. We want to. This friend of mine told me, this, the world that, she was so yesterday, she said, there's this movie and it's so, it's exposing these demons. And I said, well, we see them every day, and it's, when you're talking about this addiction and all this, the mental health that goes along that. And my thing is, we've brought these counselors on. We have folks that we've partnered with. We don't employ our counselors, but we have third-party counselors. Last year we had somebody come up, this year, I'm sorry, it was this year, somebody come up to me and say, how do I give to that project? I mean, listen, the mental health in this country is in the toilet. But we brought on 2 counselors this year because we have such a vast need. Yesterday was a little boy's first counseling session with our counselor, and she looked at me and she said, I just love him. And what's happening is the need is so big that, when somebody has, and I say this lovingly, but when somebody has certain insurances, they'll give them 1 counseling session a month. I've been told that you get 1 counseling session a month. You have, in certain settings, you have a counselor that is not always the same.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, this little boy has been to a certain counseling group, and he's been to 4 counselors. He's gone 4 times, and he's never seen the same counselor. It's starting over every month. And the mom just looked at me crying and said, I need help for my son. And I said, well, listen, our counselor will see him. It's self-pay, but we'll give you our discount. And so she's able to, and we basically split it.
Yeah.
And so mom's paying very little, but we can't give her that service for free because we have to pay for that. We don't have the budget right now, obviously, being in debt, in the red for us. But this little boy met, and he walked out of that room, and he made a friend yesterday. He saw that counselor, and he just smiled. And also we were able to say, Mom, we think you need some help too. Because what's happening is that's why that addiction, and that's so many of these things. And but you have to engage in that counseling too. And so, I've got Jordan Osborne. I'll just tell you this. She came to me and hugged my neck, and she said, you don't know what it's meant for you to help somebody in her family. And she said, this has made all the difference. I said, all we did was open the door and give her the opportunity for the tools. She took advantage of the opportunity, and that's what's made the change. But this sweet girl, I just love her, and she has made all the difference in the world in her own mental health. And to see how somebody's countenance even changes, how their eyes are brighter because they're getting that help, and they're working through their own trauma, their own situation. And so it's really just a beautiful thing how, you can take back the enemy's territory. You can stomp on his head when you're getting some help yourself.
I love how you said, and we just opened the door, and there's the name. Oh, and I'm so sorry I don't have my t-shirt. I was looking for it this morning. My grandson's visiting, and I've got him this weekends in my house. It's just like, I was like, where's my t-shirt? But anyway, but I knew that, this is, like you said, partner age. I'm sorry, I went down a rabbit hole. But the just that opening that door to the things that this is help. And I'm starting down a road I want to kind of continue. And this is something that I just can't say enough, and I share this a lot. When I started going to Mexico, okay, I'm getting ready to go. I go every year, and I can't give it up. I just absolutely can't give it up. I just was so taken by what they're doing down there. I work with Baja Missions, and the Baja Peninsula is that little long piece of land that runs alongside Mexico, and it comes down from Tijuana. And we go in. We fly into San Diego. We get on a bus, van, something. We go in. We go across the border. We office out of Ensenada, and there is a orphanage there called the City of Children. It's about 50 years old, more than that now. But this was just a fun, and I wish I could recall the man's name, but it's not an issue. But he just was a good Christian man that just started taking care of kids that had been more abandoned than orphaned because the parents didn't have the means to take care of them. I have a friend that lives in Tecate, and she said, and she's about my age, and she says, as a child, and they were very, very impoverished. And she says, as a child, I would look at the world and think, do they not know we're here? She was just without, just without. And I thought, wow, we just have no clue.
Yeah.
So anyway, this man, he's taking care of these kids that just, have nothing, and the parents have nothing, and they're just like, I can't take care of my child. And so as he's taking this in this orphanage is building, there's more kids coming. He's like, how can we help and make a difference? And so they just started going city to city, and they would establish churches. They did it through the church, and they would establish a church, and through that church, they would change the community from the inside out. The incredible change in these communities where these churches have been established. We go in and we do medical clinics. I work with optical. We do building projects. We do all these things facilitated out of, God's house, and it is changing the community. And I remember my first time in, I was like, why don't we do this in America? And of course, this really before I knew you and all the things we do. And I've also touched, I've dabbled in politics, and I've always felt drawn to politics. Not anymore, because I had so many people, because I've worked my entire broadcast career somehow in news media. And I have people all the time going, what? And having worked with Glenn Beck, he is, he's one of those guys that he's constantly getting asked. People talk about the things going on in the world. Well, what can we do to make a difference? And I hear all these things about, we'll do this, do this. Here's what you do. You change your community from the inside out, period. And as I'm learning more about Open Door, Pregnancy and Resource Center, as I'm learning more about Recovery Court, Mental Health Court, Safe Baby Court, CASA, the Isaiah House, Decisions, Choices, and Options, the Hope Center. That's the ones that just kind of come to mind right now. Celebrate Recovery and the things that we're doing from the inside out. You really want to make a difference in the things that are going on in the world, your country, whatever that may be, whatever your passion, then get busy in these nonprofits that are literally on the ground, in the trenches, as you said.
Boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground. And I say, number one, start with your dollar. Yeah. Reconsider where your finances are. And if you're somebody that really wants to make sure you're giving God what you need to give, and maybe you're not, maybe you're like, okay, like your friend said, I need to get rid of some money. I love that. If that's the case, then please consider becoming monthly donors to some of these, because that is just something they know they can count on.
Yeah.
They know that's going to be there. They need monthly donors, and it's your tithe, guys. Come on. You don't have to put it. And I have this argument with a lot of church people. Well, no, you should put it in the church, and then you trust, and you need to contribute to your church. Yes.
Absolutely.
But too many congregations are sitting on cash. They've got these, they've got these massive buildings, and, we have this big one at Madison, and it is a blessing because we open it up we've got Chet that meets there. We have, there's several classes that we do a lot of things within the community. So I believe we're doing what we need to do. But if you've got a building that's sitting empty, and it's only when the people are there and it's not being used in any other way, and you're sitting on cash as a church, I beg you to reconsider that. And if you're a member there and you're thinking about tithing more to something like that, please prayerfully consider it. And it's like, God, do you really want me to continue to do that, or could I maybe become a monthly donor to Open Door?
I have a mom that gives. I think she's increased to $10 a month, but you talk about the widow's mite.
Yes,
and it's just, she started out giving $5 a month. She said, "What can I make a difference?" And I told her, we talk about the brown bag special, and what that God gave it to me personally. And said, Shawn, if you can go out to, a restaurant and eat lunch that costs, $15, $20 a week, if you would give that back to me and let me use it. And I realized that, when I looked at little Sally, in the face and honestly, and thought, man, I need to sponsor her. And that's kind of where that came out of. And we launched that. And, so I have people that would partner with us that said, hey, I'll give up a lunch per week or per month or whatever. So, and give back to that mama. And I always talk about grace squared, because when you bless a mother like that, you're blessing those children, you're blessing that child. So, that kind of came out of that. But I believe in tithing. I believe in, completely giving back to the Lord in however that looks for you. I believe in supporting the church. Unfortunately, like you said, we do see, when you have somebody that that just looks at you and goes, I don't even know what to do. And I'll say, well, the Lord wants us to be charitable, and whatever that looks like, and however He convicts us. I mean, not everybody's going to give to Open Door because they don't know our mission. That we don't prick their heart, but Recovery Court might, because and praise the Lord, give somewhere. I will tell you this: Isaiah House partnered with us
Isaiah House
two weeks ago and brought us supplies that we were in desperate need of baby wash and lotion, and we got like 2 or 3 tubs from them. So I love that we can partner together. And we silently partner with people a lot of times, and they silently partner with us. So when we were talking a minute ago, I meant to say that, but we just, want to give a shout out to our partners, because I feel like people, like I say, I think so many times people want to talk about the competition, and that's not it at all. We are partners in this community. I love the fact that I can call Tiffany at any moment, and partner with her. And, so we're very much, trying to make sure that we can service and provide for these folks that are in the greatest need, emotionally, mentally, physically, material, assistance, things like that. So I appreciate, that those people that are so invested in us, that call me and say, how can I pray for you today? I mean, I've got somebody who literally has in just this week has called and said, hey, how can I pray for you? And I said, it's funny you ask, and this is our need, so if I could just fleece out my prayer today is that we would be provided for, and we are good stewards. We've cut our hours back. Somebody asked me what we're doing. I said, well, we're cutting our hours back, even though, my full-time staff is taking half days off, and they can take a day off for the summer, and we can readjust schedules and things like that. But we're still trying to make sure those people are, call-ins and things like that. I had somebody had to stay late yesterday because, there was needs that were there, but our needs are still being met.
And, I've got to do a break because we're already halfway there. And I saw Lee Marie come walking in. She's got the Go Show coming up here at the top of the hour. But something you said, and I just want to mention, because I will forget on this side of the break because I have a terrible attention span. You talk about the people who work for you. When you see people that are working, you're like, well, they're paid. They don't. Are you kidding me? You have no idea. One of the reasons why I stopped working at church is because, honestly, the gas prices is when I had been talking to schools for a while about, I really wanted to transition into the classroom. It's something I felt very called to. I felt very passionate about. But the icing on the cake, because I really loved working at church, but the pay's not. It's just not. I mean, and when gas prices went double, I got to do something, because I can't afford to keep running to Madison doing the work that I love, because my budget's just, it's like way out of line. And so I had to really start seriously looking at something that would keep me from having to spend all that money on gas. And so when she's talking about the people that are working for her, I have a son that works in counseling, and he, I've got a couple of kids that work. My kids they've done well, but the one that does counseling and stuff doesn't have the paycheck that the others have. And that kind of is hard on him, but he's doing, and they're all wonderful, and I love them. I'm so proud of all the work they do. He's doing kingdom work.
Right.
He's working with children and families that are in foster care. And I just try to encourage him constantly, because I'm like, it's not about the paycheck, babe.
Yeah.
It's not about the paycheck. Yes, we want to pay our bills, and we all want to not have to stress over finances, because that's a ploy of the enemy too. But I think, we forget when you read the 23rd Psalms, you're talking about, what God guides us to every day. It's what we need that day. And I think I just encourage you to kind of read back through that psalm and just kind of think about every day he gives us what we need. And so many of us, we think we've got to have all this money set aside. We got to have all this stuff. And that is not what we're called to. It's just not.
I got a word for you. So do your break, and then we'll get into the word that Lord just, yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love you, sister. You're just, when I have people that sit there that I know are anointed, I take that so seriously. It just gives me chills, and I want it myself. And I struggle. That's like a spiritual talk. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, love the Holy Spirit. Come on, bring it. Anyway, what was I going to do? Cumberland Connect. Let's go there. We just love our sponsors because we do. Everything drives on that dollar. You got to have the things that take care of the things. I mean, it costs to power this studio and to bring in all the things we need and the new cameras and all that stuff. And Ebenezer Broadcasting is doing a wonderful job being good stewards of that. So Cumberland Connect, we thank you for entrusting us to be one of your voices out there. It's so wonderful because if you've had to deal with not up to par connectivity in regards to trying to get online, we learned so much during COVID that working from home is a wonderful option. It saves, you can make your employees much more productive oftentimes if they're able to work from home. But one of my kids, when they were really looking about where they were going to settle, he has to be able to work from home. And the fact that we didn't have great internet he's like, I can't build out there, Mom. I can't. Well, now they can because I have Cumberland Connect. And so one of my other sons is going, maybe I will. And that has been a game changer just in the last couple of years. I'm telling you, your property values have gone up if you're in an area that had no internet and no options, and now you have Cumberland Connect because it's facilitated through Cumberland Electric. It's a game changer, guys. Absolute game changer. And if you're a Cumberland Electric customer, you're going to have access to Cumberland Connect. It has replaced our phone lines, but if you want a hard line, Cumberland Connect can do that for you. They have TV packages and all of that if you need all that. All I do is I buy a gig. I'm in the gig club, $80. I was paying $60-something for terrible internet and had all this. I had Dish Network, had all that kind of stuff. I turned everything off, $80. That's what I got. And I can stream, I can do whatever I need to do, and it's just a game changer. I'm so thrilled that Cumberland Connect is part of what we're doing here at 1 Street over at Ebenezer Broadcasting, and we appreciate you. If you want to know, is it in your neighborhood? Here in Robeson County, most everybody has gotten the option if you're a Cumberland Electric customer, and you can go to cumberlandconnect.org, and put in your address, and it'll tell you we're there now, or we will be in a month. They'll give you a projection, or you can call them at 800-987-2362, 1-800-987-2362. But please, when you do, let them know that you turned century. Okay, what's the word? Shawn Elmore's here with Open Door Pregnancy and Research Center. And we're getting talking to the Holy Spirit. I could just see that light in your eye. And you're like, oh, I got a word for you, LaVern. What?
Well, when you were talking, the Lord just keeps giving me the word providence. This year, I and it's so funny because I pray that the Lord gives me a word for the year.
I love it.
And, as I was seeking out the Lord's face for the year and the word synergy, and it was like the motion, and there was all these things in play, but it was just this beautiful mosaic. So the word synergy, and there was a lot of things in motion. But the Lord, I was like, Lord, what's that look like? And he said, there's going to be great providence. And so that for me is, the Lord's on the throne, even though when it looks grim, the Lord's going to do what he's going to do. And we just have to have faith and stop and basically then take a stand, in Ephesians, it says, when you've done everything else, stand. And that's kind of that's when his providence just, abounds. And so, I think sometimes, people look at me as a person of faith, and I think I basically said one day to somebody, I said, I'm just foolish enough to believe for God and all of his wisdom and everything for him, and not always know, what. I just step back and believe that God's going to do what he's going to do. And, we don't have a lot of control. And I think so many of us as humans in our flesh want this control. Yeah. And
especially in an election year.
Oh, and I made a comment. I'm not going to go political, but one of the things that I said is, we've weathered the storms at Open Door. I came out of the healthcare industry and into something, last night I was at a meeting, and, they're like, how did, basically several people in this room knew where I came from. Mm-hmm. And, it's funny because I came into the nonprofit world knowing nothing. I don't have a degree in this. I don't have, but people say, oh, you're a expert in your field. And I laugh and go, no, I'm not. I just, I get every day, I get what I need. And so that providence, and you think about the Israelites when they were out in in the desert, and they were led by a pillar of fire at night and, a cloud by day. And what did they get? I mean, the providence of the Lord was they got manna every day. And so, how did that, what did that look like? They, and then they were, so it's just, you think about that, and in this day and time, what does that look like, and so, I think about the widow's mite. And I had a really sweet friend when we first opened. She was a new Christian, and I'll never forget, like, the lessons, how the baby lessons that we learn. And I'll think back on those days. We had 1802 Meadowbrook. We have this little space that we were grown up in. We were raised up in, and all the sweet stories that we had there. And now we have this larger facility, and it's different, but it's just so beautiful because you get to see lives changing. But this lady came in, and her heart was to volunteer. She was post-abortive, and she said, I just want to help, so I know that somebody's going to get help because I didn't have it. Mm-hmm. And so she would come in every Friday, and she would clean, and she would do laundry, and she would work, and she would work, and she would work. And she walked in one day, and she was in tears, and she said, I don't even know what story it is, but she said, it's just like that oil lady. And she said, it was like, it just doesn't run out. She goes, every time we think that we don't have, or we think this, and she said, it just didn't run out. And and we started talking about the widow's mite, and we started talking about different things. And I remember how she was so, like, such a new baby Christian. And it was so sweet to hear her perspective. Mm-hmm. My expectation was, here I am, Lord, send me. And I was stupid enough to say it, and look where it took me. It was like I'm on a sailboat, and, I'm just drifting. But I'm dumb enough to jump in the boat and say, here I am, Lord, send me, Yeah. And that Isaiah, 6:8, And so, but it's the providence of the Lord that says, just trust me, and it's so it just, and he will take care of things. But I think so many times, we want to control, we want to take that rudder of that ship, and we want to just kind of bear in and say, well, I want to go to the right. And there's been so many times that I've just had to say, Lord, fillet this flesh, mm-hmm. and just kind of take me down to bone, because I know this flesh is weak. I know it's sinful. I know that it's, it's kind of stupid. I know that it's controlling, and I just need to just be totally surrendered. And so there are times that, my will is just completely out of God's will. And so, there's been times I've had to just totally just get on my face before God and say, here I am, Lord, send me. This morning my prayer was, Lord, if I'm a hindrance in any way for, take me to the woodshed. There's been times I've had to ask God to do that for me. For years I've wanted to have an ultrasound at Open Door, because I know it will enrich our DNA. I don't feel like it will completely change us, because I know how God has designed Open Door for Robertson County. Other pregnancy centers look different. So, our resources look different. But when we were going to partner with a certain agency, and they said, well, you have to do away with these services, I said, nope, that's not for us. Yeah. And I was, my board agreed. We were very much in agreement. And so I said, God said he would enrich our DNA. He's going to, bring that. And so recently, I'll kind of give you a little God story. I
love God stories.
Yes. We know that we have some money that's set aside that was donated. It's designated funds. We can't use it for anything else, but it's for ultrasound. And we know that God has said we will have one. But we didn't quite know what that would look like. But I kept hearing we're going to take our services on the road. Cheatham County's needed us, small, intimate cross plains, different places have needed some services. And I've had 3 calls this week for White House services. Like, we need to just take our bus and just sit and make sure that everything we can do as far as material assistance and things like that can be done in different areas. And so we have this beautiful bus, and here we are. And so we're doing things now with it just to get it out there, but our services will look a little different, in 6 months to a year. But several years ago, probably 8 to 10 years ago, our board sat down and we were looking at ultrasound, but we didn't have the space. We didn't have the mobile unit. We just didn't we weren't ready, but God was preparing us. So our board, and we all pulled back and said, we're not ready for that yet. But we fast forward, we got an email. I started talking and I called this agency and said, hey, what do we need to do? And she said, well, you would be a perfect fit, but you need a local partnership. And I said, we do have some designated funds left over where we've done this, that, and the other. But she said, oh, you'll need to expand your budget. And I'm like, well, here we are, times are tight. And I said, well, we need God's providence, God's miracle to do this. So anyway, fast forward, within 24 hours, I get a phone call. I called man. I said, hey, do you have any local help? Do you know somebody locally? Because we have to have a local chapter to help us. And I'll tell you who that is in a minute. And he goes, well, I'll let you know. Well, I have yet to hear from this man. But anyway, the next day I get this phone call from a guy named Tom. And I said, oh, did Mr. So-and-so, did he tell you to call me? And he goes, no, I don't know who that is. And so I started working with Knights of Columbus, and they are going to help us get an ultrasound. So we have some designated funds, but we also have to have training. We have to have the machine. The machines are up to $100,000.
Wow.
I mean, it's a lot. It's not just, and I think some people think, oh, people get them all the time. It's not like that. Our insurance, I check with them. We can't have a used machine. So we've got people, we'll donate a machine. Our insurance said they wouldn't accept that at the time. And so we've got to dial back, because everything we looked at 2-3 years ago when we were opening the South Main location now has gone up in price. So, now we're doing this number. So we have a great staff member that's helping me navigate some of this. So it's been a beautiful thing, but we are working on some diligent things because we want to make sure that we have those services available as well. And we get calls. Somebody asked me, and I think we pretty much get calls for services on, multiple times a week, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day, sometimes, every day, maybe 2 or 3 days, and then we'll get 2 or 3, so it's crazy. There's no rhyme or reason, but unfortunately, these services are very much needed and in our small community. So we want to give somebody, an opportunity to be
see
able
that
to
life within.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. And it
be able to make
everything.
and be able to make a choice that they can live with. Not to manipulate them, but we want to give them an educated, anybody would want to give them an educated guess. So
it changes everything. I tell people, I have pictures of my twins. It's so interesting. I had a miscarriage right before I had my twins, and so they didn't want me to get pregnant again so quickly. And I've got to do a break. I got 2 more breaks I got to do, and it's still. I knew we could have talked for hours, but so they did a very early ultrasound. I'm talking weeks. I was pregnant, just barely weeks, to where it was like there was very clearly 2, and just tiny, tiny little babies in this one ultrasound. And I can tell you which is which because of the size of the head. Because one of my twins has got a bigger head circumference than the other, substantially so, and it's so obvious. I'm like, well, that's Caleb, that's Jeremiah, and I'm talking weeks I was pregnant. You talk about changing everything when you can see that so clear, knit together perfectly for who Caleb was supposed to be and for who Jeremiah was supposed to be that early. It's amazing. It's just breathtaking. But I'm with you. And whatever I can do, just let me know if you need help with anything, and we'll figure it out. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyway, Shawn Elmore's here. She is with Open Door Pregnancy and Resource Center. It truly, as I started going to Mexico and coming back and going, what can I do from the inside out in my community to make a difference? This is one of the first things that I saw that I'm like, okay, what can I do to help there? And I can't say enough about the work she's doing. Absolutely anointed by God. It's incredible what's going on. And we've got so many things that connect to it. Just talk to this woman. And if you possibly can consider becoming a monthly donor, making sure you follow them on social media. So when they need things, you're there. But monthly donors are needed vitally in all of these nonprofits. Please consider reconsidering what you're tithing and getting monthly funds to Open Door. And you just got to, with everything costing so much more, it is just critical, I think. And she didn't ask me to say that. I'm just saying it. I'm feeling driven to say that. We do need to talk business and talk about our sponsors, and we're going to talk Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty.
My favorite people.
Love these people to death, and it's just so wonderful. When I talk about the things that they do in the community, the videos that you see at Open Door when you go to the fundraisers and stuff, Barry's doing that, and he was a marketer for 17
You need to
years.
bless him for just dealing with me.
Ha ha, you're funny. He's just a doll. Him and Rebecca both, I cannot say enough about that couple and what they do for the community. They're Cross Plainians. They specialize in Robertson County properties because they've been in Cross Plains for nearly 30 years, but they're from Kentucky, so they also know the Kentucky nuances of sales, and they buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. She's in White House. She has an agency office there. He is the broker now here in the downtown. Well, he has an office in Springfield. And so they combine those two offices to bring you Exit Prime Realty. Anything you need in the real estate community, buying, selling, whatever. Is it a good time to buy? Yes, it's always a good time to buy. You can always refinance and do all those things later. But she's, and Rebecca, one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist, which means that if you're somebody that's gotten to that place, well, do I need to downsize? I'm getting older, whatever. She can expertly help you with that. I cannot say enough about my friends. And again, I think Shawn's the same way because they're just there all the time with things that she needs with video and those types of things. But they are expert at what they do. And sponsors of this program, I cannot recommend them enough. If you are looking for anything in real estate, please reach out to them. You can Google them, Barry Richards, Rebecca Richards, Exit Prime Realty, and you'll get all the contact info, or here's Rebecca's number, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. Let them know. And what's next, my friend? We got about 7 minutes. I got this ring chomping at me. We're going to talk about love
the Criswells.
I love Jerry and the whole crew out there.
Yes.
They're wonderful.
They're an awesome family.
They are. They did a big fundraiser, and we just we'll talk about them in just a second specifically, but they did a big fundraiser for Down syndrome this past weekend.
Yes.
And
They have
so good.
they have an intimate relationship with Down syndrome. So,
Yes.
I'll just say this. I've had unfortunately, we have so many people that call us that say we got a diagnosis. Can you talk to somebody? And I have a lot of opportunity. And recently I have a very intimate, there's a reason I say this, but I have so many times that I have people call me and say, I have a diagnosis with my baby and things like that. And, physicians have to give information, obviously, and to make decisions. But I tell you, there's nothing more special than a Down syndrome child.
Precious.
Listen, in nursing, I always was like, oh, they're my favorite patients. They're the most joyful. I think they're the most anointed human beings on earth.
Something that God gives them. I don't know what it is.
Most special human. I mean, I think they're closest to Jesus. I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah, it's just special. And
little Thomas is the sweetest little thing you've ever seen. I just see him on Facebook and just grin every time.
Yeah, so. And I tell you, it just cannot say enough about some of the work that Jerry and them do for that, but it's powerful. And again, we've just got so much we could talk about. Shawn is going to start coming in here. Our goal is on the first Wednesday. She's going to be one of our reoccurring guests, and there's going to be times you're going to be out of town or something like that, but we're going to do our best because we just, and I got to do the same thing with Isaiah House and Decisions, Choices, and Options. I mean, all these wonderful nonprofits that are literally changing things from the inside out. Yes, be a good steward of your vote. Yes, get involved. Do the things you can do that's within your power, but then that's all you can do. Right. You've got to trust the leaders that we put in play. You've got to pray for them. You've got to pray for your leaders, whether you like them or not, y'all. You got to pray for them because God tells us to. And then here's what you do to change your country, change your world from the inside out. You get boots on the ground. You get involved, whether that be just with your dollar. You got to have your dollar. Got to have it. I encourage you to find ways to give back with your time as well. That's something that I struggle with because I have the things I want to do, but I want to be involved more. I would love to come up there and do some things with you guys. And I don't know what that looks like. I would love to be a volunteer at CASA and Isaiah and all the things. And I'm just like, there's just so many wonderful things that you can literally. I had a friend, she's passed, but she just was just such a example of just living being the hands and feet of Jesus. And somebody asked her about how do you really make a difference, in people's lives? She goes, you got to get involved in their messy life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got to get involved.
You got to hold your sister hair back when she's throwing up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mean to be.
No, but that's, yes.
I'll read while you're talking. I'll just tell you, our volunteers are vital, and we intimately love our volunteers. Mm-hmm. But if we don't have volunteers, we don't have stories like this. Barry and his team did a story on Maggie, I think 2 or 3 years ago. She was a DCS case. She went through Judge Stark's court, juvenile court. At one point, I don't know if they were going to TPR her, but, I received pictures, but, of her family, like she's just smiling. She's got her own place. We got to help her, furnish her place. And I said, oh my word, I couldn't believe, like I got received pictures from her, and I said, oh my goodness, I could not love this more. I love what this beautiful family is. She knows that I talk about her all the time because she's my kid, right? I just love her. She said, thank you so much. I love my family. I haven't talked to you in a while. This is what she said on June 25th. I haven't seen her because I've been in and out of the office, but typically I would see her and give her a hug. And she said, I haven't talked to you in a while. I love you, Miss Shawn. I always think about you. The Lord talks about jewels on our crown, and man, to have a little girl that just reaches out to me just on a whim. Mm. That's how, you talk about not getting paid. Mm-hmm. That's payment. That's the payment. Yes. And so when we have these volunteers that sacrificially walk in the doors and dig in bags of trash, because we have a donation bin, and we have a lady that literally said, Shawn, this is trash. And my kids can remember from when they would volunteer, when they were kiddos, and we were digging through donations, and my kids go, Mom, remember when we found the cat poop in the donations? And I'm like, yep, that really happened. Yeah. And sometimes we look at things, and God would give us his best. Mm-hmm. Right? God gives us his best. Yes. But there's been times that we've gotten things that are the worst. But just seeing that, having that, like, she's praying for me. Maggie's, one of her texts from Thursday of last week said, praying for you and your family, and praying for, she was sorry to hear about something. And she said, praying for God's plan. And she said, I want to come see you. And she said, I want to cook a meal for you. This is a client that I have a very long history with, that we have become family. We have become intimate. And I mean, she's giving back because of the example of what, not Shawn, but what Open Door and that support system looks like. Yeah. But she's wanting to give back because of that. And what an example that now she carries the love well burden. Mm-hmm. See, because once you've been loved well, you can't just say, well, now I can just throw that away. It's something that ingrains in us, because you can love your neighbor. Amen. And so, if I can walk away from the show today and say that, what a beautiful thing that we could instill somebody to be charitable, to be hospitable, to love somebody well, to be sacrificial. Because let me tell you, this little girl probably doesn't have the money to probably feed her family, but she's offering to cook me a meal. That's incredible. Wow. And we've had long conversations, and she said, Miss Shawn, do you remember when you gave me this when I couldn't do that? Do you remember when you gave diapers and you said, oh no, I mean, there's another little girl that we've worked with, Cheyenne. We did a story too from Barry, but she's working now at a church. She's a new Christian, and she needs dresses. And so the other day I said, go buy her 2 dresses. We had, because of somebody's faithfulness, gave us gift cards. We were able to buy her 2 dresses, and they were on sale. I mean, we didn't spend anything, but it's beautiful that we could do that. It's beautiful that we can have the providence to make sure that little things are taken care of. And these are things that I don't have time to put out on Facebook. It's get it done, because that person needs it at that minute. Yep. I can't, I had somebody go, well, just let me know. And I said, you don't understand.
I don't have time to let you know.
I said, this person needed food right then, and it was so sweet because we used to have those partnerships. When we talk about the food bank, I can call, Miss Sherry and say, Miss Sherry, I need this. Like, I have somebody who doesn't have food right this minute. So she'll meet me up there. So that's the partnerships we have. So God bless our community.
It's incredible. And we are completely out of time. We're over time. Lee Marie's ready to come in here. No, I mean, we're fine. I know she's fine, but and again, I'm begging you, please consider becoming a monthly donor to Open Door Pregnancy and Resource Center. Not just them, but so many others. They right now, because of the budgets, they got to have you. So please, please, please consider and do it and reach out and just be there. Like I said, I think I said, let me know. No. I got to knock on your door and just show up. And I'm going to do that. And I love you, sister. We do need to talk about Jerry, the Criswells, and all that they do at Veteran Motorsplex. If you have not checked out Veterans Motorplex, guys, you don't know what you're missing. I had no idea how much fun the races were. I haven't gotten there yet this year because we've just been so busy. But before the season's over, I'm going to get there a few times. I don't know if they're doing the big truck races. I saw the big 18-wheelers last year race. That was crazy. Going around that track, it is the most fun. I had no idea how much fun the races were. And I went several times last year. I had an absolute blast seeing some of the local favorites, some of the local teens racing on that track. They've done a bunch of improvements out there. A $40 ticket, great value. $40 ticket's going to get up to 6 kids and 2 adults in. Family-friendly environment, no alcohol, nothing like that serves. You don't have to worry about that. They got a great concession stand with burgers and fries and all that. And a lot of the local kids work there. You're going to love it. It is so much fun. Racing every Saturday, weather permitting, through October at least. And all you got to do is go to 6801 Kelly Willis Road in Greenbrier, 6801 Kelly Willis Road in Greenbrier. You're going to have so much fun racing going through October. Follow them at Highland Rim Speedway. They kept the old social media presence. So it's always weather permitting. You got to know if there's a delay or anything like that. But again, we know Jerry, love him, and he is one that just is absolutely boots on the ground. Thank you, Shawn. We got to get out of here. It's 3 after. There we go. It's my turn. Anyway, love you, darling, and I'll see you soon. Thank you guys for joining us. This is 1100